What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Gameball with your host, Matson Montilla. Today, joining the show, we have a recurring guest, the one, the only, Brevin Galloway. How you doing, Brevin?
I'm good, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Part 2, man. Excited to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to work it out and fix everything, have it all come together.
Definitely. My boy got a new setup. Look good in here.
Well, it's tough, right? It's tough.
Yeah, I like it.
I was pretty proud of it. All the mics and the cameras. The
Oh,
cameras are the big
no.
part.
Yeah, the cameras definitely make it pop for sure.
Yeah,
I like the two different angles. I like it.
Yeah, come on, I'm trying to be all big time right now. I'm trying to get like you in basketball. You're big
I
time
feel
basketball,
that.
I'm trying to be big
I
time.
feel it. Hey, it's all about leveling up, man. That's all about life is. As long as you keep doing that, you'll be solid.
Yeah, definitely. So dive right into it. Yeah, everyone, I think for people that didn't know you, they finally got to know you because of that viral video you had, right?
Right.
So kind of just like before we get into it, like walk us through that injury. Like what happened?
Bro, that was probably one of the craziest experiences I've had. So, bro, it was a typical Thursday afternoon. I woke up, went to lift, went back home, walked the dogs, tried to take a nap. I was fighting my nap for like 30 minutes, trying to go to sleep. Bro, I woke up and they were just twisted, bro. Like it was the most, that pain was insane. Like I can't even describe it. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. So then obviously, because they were obviously swollen, and then that was a major red flag because I was like, whoa, we got to do something about this. Then I called my trainer. Well, I didn't call her. My fiance called her because I couldn't talk. I couldn't breathe, talk, or move without pain, bro. Like it was from head to toe, like just miserable. So then I got to the doctor's office. They took me to the ER. I went to the ER like 30 minutes after the ultrasound. They rushed in. Was like, we got to have surgery ASAP. And then within an hour, I'm underneath anesthesia. Then I wake up. And then I posted a video and then fell back asleep and then woke up around midnight and then saw it was everywhere. And I was like, oh, it's viral.
Yeah. So when you said it, I mean, I'm assuming you didn't make the video with the intent of like having to be for like NIL or having to go viral. Like what was like the purpose of the video?
The purpose of the video was obviously like throughout my whole career, I've been injured. And obviously I'm about to prepare to be a professional athlete after the season's over with. So within the next 3 months. And I didn't want like anybody thinking that I had like a reoccurring knee injury or my ankle was messed up or nothing like that. Like I just wanted the world to know that it was a freak accident and like there was nothing that I could control. And so that's pretty much the basics. That was the real reason behind it. And I just wanted to do it in a funny, cool way to like not let people know like it was like that I was stressed or that I was like in pain or anything like that. And then it ended up just being viral. And, I'm thankful for it.
The rest is history. I mean, it went everywhere. Like every major news outlet had it. I saw Bleacher Report poster about it.
Bleacher Report, TMZ, New York Times, Rolling Stone, everybody. I was getting interviewed by everybody in the world like for that one video. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. But hey, ended up working out beautifully for me.
Yeah, definitely. So how did the whole like NIL thing come together with the company?
Mm-hmm. So the NIL deal, my agent, once the incident happened and it went viral, my agent contacted a whole bunch of companies and brands, trying to see if people were interested. And Shaughnessy just offered us the best deal with money and obviously with just long-term stuff like that. Like obviously modeling is something that I wanted to get into, and now I'll be able to be a little underwear model on the side.
That's crazy.
So that's fun, and obviously that's just something that really came out the blue. But so that's really how the NIL stuff happened. My agent just hit up a lot of companies, and we got some good feedback back, and people wanted to work with us, and we got some more stuff coming up too that I'm excited about. So can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, for sure. So with the NIL, like, did they give you like a certain, like how does a NIL deal come together? Because you said multiple companies reached out to you.
Right. So pretty much like my agent will reach out, or they'll reach out to my agent, and we pretty much just try to figure out what's the best deal for us and what deal can we benefit from the most, whether it be money, relationships, clout, like any kind of way that we can get more followers or something like that. Like obviously that's everything that we're looking into at the time. And obviously we want to make sure that like I'm able to be myself too throughout the whole process. And Shaughnessy is going to allow me to make my own content. Like they literally gave me free reign to do whatever I want to do with my content. So that's beautiful for me just because I can be myself and be creative and I don't have to worry about going by a script or anything like that. So yeah, we pretty much and then once we figure out a deal, my agent will get in contact with the company. We'll go over the contract, the payment, what exactly is required from my end. And then I'll sign the paper and then it's a go from there.
Okay. So is that kind of how it comes together with just like, in general, like a regular NIL deal?
Yeah, regular.
With like Shop Gold. And
yeah. Regular. Like most of the time, my agent is plugged in or already connected. So pretty much once the companies and brands just see my social media and they see what type of guy I am, and if they like it, then they'll pretty much just extend an offer. And then my agent is just the middleman, pretty much. I'll be in contact with the brands and companies sometimes, but like most of the time it's my agent. But yeah, pretty much my agent will just let me know what they're wanting, how much they're gonna give me, and then I'll be able to pick and choose like whether I want to go through with it or not.
So do they just go straight to your agent and say, I want to get with Brevin, or do they like slide in your DMs and be like, hey, you have a lot of followers, you play hoops, like, just make something happen?
Depending on the agency, because a lot of companies will DM me first and then try to like, because companies are funny because they'll try to like shortcut you and not pay you, so they'll DM me instead of my agent, because obviously my agent is the expert whenever it comes to doing a deal and understanding the whole process behind it. I mean, he knows how much like I'm worth and how much a deal is worth. So companies will sometimes DM me and try to just ask for my address just to send me something real quick and just want me to get me to post it. But I'm like, nah, it doesn't. Like, I used to fall for that, like whenever it first happened, obviously whenever I was excited to get deals. But now that I'm like, quote unquote, big time or whatever, like, obviously you're gonna have to pay now.
yeah, that's tough. You can't just get the free merch.
You're gonna have to pay a little bit more than that.
So the Brinks truck, you gotta get some bread.
Yeah, exactly.
So now shifting it over from the NIL to the Miami game. That's the last game that you played in. Big game, sold out crowd. Place was rocking.
Right.
What was that entire game like? You know, just playing in it, your first game back from this injury, and just obviously the result wasn't ideal. But what was it like just playing that whole game?
Right. It was well. First of all, it was a blessing, just because like I've had plenty of experiences not playing games and missing like a majority of the season. Like I've had plenty of experiences doing that. So to be able to bounce back so quick from the injury and recover was a blessing. So I'm grateful to be back out there with the guys and be able to just hoop again. And then obviously Little John is electric whenever it's packed like that and rocking. Like it's probably the best place to play in college basketball. And it's just awesome. Like running out whenever you see that crowd packed and everybody's in the orange and purple and everybody's just screaming for you. Like it's a beautiful feeling for sure. So yeah, I mean, there was definitely didn't get the outcome we wanted, but at the same time, like it's a basketball game, man. It is what it is at the end of the day. And obviously we're still in first place in the ACC, still got a lot to prove, still got a long season left. So we got to just keep taking it day by day.
Was it, this is the first time Clemson's lost back-to-back games this year. First time since February of last season, you know. So was it like a weird feeling to have, like in the locker room saying like, got 2 losses in a row? Right.
Well, I mean, it was an eye-opening experience, definitely, just because obviously we've been winning all year, it feels like. So to lose 2 in a row is kind of like a humbling experience. But with that being said, I mean, it's not going to do anything but motivate us just to get back working. Like, we got a week off until we play Chapel Hill. So we're excited to get back in the gym, like have a week off to recover physically and mentally, and hopefully just get back on track right before March.
You brought it up. I mean, having a week off, that's huge in basketball, huge to have. I mean, Clemson hasn't had a week off for who knows how long this year. So having that week off to kind of just relax, obviously focus for the game, but relax. Like, what does that do for you and just the team in general?
It's tough after a loss, just because like obviously that taste is still in your mouth because we don't play again for a minute. But in terms of just like on our bodies and the mental part of it, like guys can pay a little bit more attention to schoolwork. Like we can obviously get more shots up in the gym. We can get more workouts in just because obviously we have a little bit more time before the game. So we don't have to worry about kind of being that easy on our body as like you have to be like in between days of a game. So it just gives us time to just pretty much just lock back in. And obviously like that's what we need to do for the next 3-4 weeks until the ACC tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And you're bringing up that ACC tournament, bringing up being first in the ACC. I mean, you can't just dwell on this loss, like you mentioned. You can't just dwell on it. You have a lot of folks having a great season still. So with that in mind, like, what are the do you like? Does the team look ahead, or do you guys just take it day by day, or do you say this is the goal I want to achieve? Right. We're going to work everything we can to get to that point.
So the biggest thing is we do talk about the way we want our season to end. But we know that the only way we can get there is if we focus on day-to-day stuff and the small details. So, like, obviously, the bigger picture, March Madness, the Sweet 16, Final Four, obviously that is talked about. But at the same time, like, we do realize that, like, that's not just going to happen overnight. Like, we got to make sure that each day we're putting in the best work, making sure our best foot is going forward. And then, obviously, hopefully at the end of the year, we can make that adjustment, that we can make that the goal that we're trying to get to is a Sweet 16, Elite 8. So, hopefully, all these days stack up and we're able to get to that at the end of the year.
Definitely. So, again, just bringing back up the UNC game, looking ahead a little bit to it. Talented team. Obviously, they aren't doing as well as they thought they're going to do, but still, Baycott, Caleb Love.
They still the best. They still one of the best teams in the country. Like, they wasn't number one. They was number one for a reason.
They got dudes, but you're traveling at Chapel Hill. I mean, that's a tough game. How do you prepare for it? Do you just watch film and take it day by day, or do you say, like, this is different. We have to prepare differently.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I guess that's a better question for the staff. Because for me, obviously, like my game plan and the way I approach every game is the same. But obviously playing in Chapel Hill, being on the road, like in that environment is going to be crazy. So actually that's exciting, and I live for that type of game and that atmosphere. So I'm excited for it, and I'm thrilled for it just because, like, obviously that's an historic arena, and hopefully we can go in there and make an upset and make history again, and that would be beautiful. So because I think Clemson's only won one game in Chapel Hill.
Seriously?
Yeah, one game in Chapel Hill. So
crazy.
So that's gonna be major for us to go in there and have that opportunity. So hopefully we can take advantage of it.
Yeah, they won a few years ago, I guess, with Amir Sims was there.
Yep.
So that was the year.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I think. Yeah, that was the first time they ever won there. So hopefully we can make a little repeat of history.
Yeah, definitely. So looking at the other team in North Carolina, Duke, big game, big time feel. I think that was. I'm gonna be honest. I think that was the best, most anticipated game Clemson's had from the past 20 years.
Dang, no, it was in terms of like the hype built around it. Yeah, it was. I mean, that was crazy. Like walking, because I think the game was at 5. We normally get to the gym at like 12:31, and there were already lines out there outside the arena. That was insane. Like that was by far the most packed, lit game, like most anticipated game by far that I've ever played into.
Yeah, I mean you couldn't lose that game.
I
mean you could, but you can't do that.
Right. Can't
sold out crowd.
Yeah, sold out crowd. That's why yesterday hurt, because it was just like, dang man, the city really showed out for us, and then we came up short. But yeah, those hurt. Yeah, still a great game, but it's still like, dang, we ain't come through like we were supposed to. But it is what it is, man. We'll have some more left to make them happy.
Yeah, that Duke game, that was crazy. I remember you mentioned there was lines out there from like noon. The game was at 5. I tried going, right? I showed up at like 2:30. I was just chilling, and I was like, nah,
it's not happening.
There was like 10,000 people just standing out there.
Outside waiting. It was crazy.
Crazy.
Seeing that was actually insane. Like that was the first time I've ever seen lines outside of Little John, and I grew up going to Little John all the time. So to see them lines like that was wild, especially to know that like we play a big part in it, in the history, in this historic season that we haven't so far. Like obviously, hopefully we can finish the year out strong, and like this season goes down in the history books. But at the same time, like the start we've had has been unreal.
Yeah. So being in that game, you had a huge impact in that Duke game. Huge impact. You had one of the biggest plays and one.
Yeah,
right?
the and one.
Late in the second half. Just you mentioned you grew up going to go to Clemson games. You've known Brad Brownell. You've gone to his camps before for Clemson. You're from Anderson. Being able to not only play in that game and win that game, but know that you yourself had a huge impact on that game. Like, what does that mean to you? Was that bigger than? Was that one of the biggest games you played in?
Definitely, just because I'm from here, and just to be able to say that like I helped Clemson like beat Duke at home is crazy. Like that's something I'm gonna be able to show my kids and their kids and all that stuff. So, and that's something I'm definitely gonna talk about. And I don't realize probably how big it was now, but like when years go by and like 10, 15 years go by, and I'm like, dang, like I really was able to play against Duke and home, like where I grew up, and beat them on our home court. Like that's something I'm definitely going to be talking about for sure. So yeah, because obviously like if I had 2 points and we still won it would be lit, but not the same feeling as having the game that I did. So I mean that was just definitely one of my most memorable nights for sure.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. I ended up just hanging out like some restaurant, and everyone was packing it, and it was crazy. Like everyone was going nuts. Everyone was going nuts after the game, and they obviously rushed the court at Little John.
Yep.
I mean, have you been a part of a court rush like that?
Yeah, I have the year. Yeah, my year in Charleston, whenever we won the tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, we stormed on the court. Yep.
Was this bigger than that? Like, do you think there was
by far? Like we won the championship. That was to get to the tournament. But like you said, like the hype and the anticipation behind that Clemson Duke game was by far like the biggest. Like going into that game, it's like it's a must win. But at the same time, I knew it was going to be probably one of my most fun games I ever played in there.
Yeah. So in that game, we talked about that and one opportunity you had. You obviously converted on it late in the game. But plays like that where you score and the crowd just erupts, right? They get so fired up. Like, what's that moment like? I mean, I can't say I've had an experience like that, right? Where you're playing in front of a sold-out crowd and you get a crucial basket.
I mean, the biggest thing is, like, whenever I was earlier in my career, I never had a lot of clutch buckets like that because I never was in those positions. So now that I'm, like, older and I'm obviously called upon to, like, do those things in those type of moments, like, I really just cherish those moments just because, like, those are the positions that I always wanted to be in. So, like, whenever I finally got the N1, then I was able to just sit on the floor and, like, flex and look at the crowd, like, and just able to soak all that in. I feel like that's the best part about it because, like, we work so hard as athletes on a day-to-day basis trying to overcome injuries, overcome adversity, practice, weights, going through all this stuff. Like, So whenever that moment finally does hit that you can actually like live in it and cherish it, I feel like you gotta take advantage of it and just be yourself, be goofy, childish, whatever it is, whatever you want to do, you gotta just make sure you do it. Cause like that and one that only happened for like 10 seconds. Like I only had like maybe like 5 seconds to like enjoy it and cherish it before it was on to the next play. So I mean that's just one of those things you gotta just take as it comes.
Yeah. How much do you feed off of the energy of the crowd?
I like the energy of the crowd a lot, especially like whenever I don't really hear it when I score, but whenever my teammates score, I pay a lot more attention to the crowd because I guess I wasn't in the mental place. If I'm like scoring, I'm probably like focusing on different things. But whenever I see my teammates score and the crowd gets going, it's a really energizer just because like obviously you see the crowd's amped up and you can actually like visually see the crowd jumping, like being lit, especially the way Little John's been recently with the fans. And I like the colors. I like the little things they do with the colors, like the purple and the little stripe out they had. Like that makes it lit too, especially for pictures. It's very, very aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. So it looks good though. But yeah, the crowd has been lovely, man, and that's what makes college basketball what it is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when it is packed, like, does the crowd not only obviously get you fired up, but do you think it has an impact on the opposing teams?
I love away games, honestly. Away games are my favorite part of college basketball with a good fan base. Like if they have a good fan base, then like Virginia Tech was crazy. I loved playing at Virginia Tech. I played at Wichita State my redshirt freshman year, and that was insane just because of their fan base was crazy. So like, I mean, honestly, like there's a home court advantage, but at the same time, like players just like playing in front of big crowds and big arenas, and I feel like that's what us athletes are called to do. So I don't think the other team necessarily might get scared of it, but at the same, because I embrace it, and obviously, like you got to know that like they're gonna talk trash, they're gonna talk junk, like it's gonna be a competitive game. But like I said, like that's what makes college basketball what it is, and I feel like that's what's the whole thing. That's what's the whole fun part about it.
Mm-hmm. So when you said you played against Wichita State, was that like the years that they had Fred VanVleet, or was that after it?
I'm not. I'm dead. I'm not that old.
You know what I'm talking about? Right. I don't know how old Fred. He's like what? I don't know how old he is.
I know, but if I'd have played against Fred VanVleet, I'd have been like, wow, I'm really old. But Shamet was there. Landry Shamet was there.
Oh, that was tough.
Yeah, Landry Shamet. I think he was a freshman. I think he was a freshman there. Yeah, but he played. Yeah, so he was tough. Yeah, he was really, really tough back then. So. Yeah, he was one of the guys on that roster, though.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not trying to make you feel old around.
Oh no, you're not. I had to process it through my mind. I'm like, dang, was he there whenever I played? I said, I'm not that old. I don't think.
They were tough though when they had him, Ron Baker.
No, that group was crazy. Yeah. That group was crazy for sure.
So do you like silence in the crowd? Like let's say in a away game, you hit a big bucket and they go quiet?
Oh yeah, that's the best. That is the best feeling.
You like that the most?
I like that better than getting our crowd lit.
Okay.
Like going in the gym and silencing another crowd. Like who do we beat? We beat Virginia Tech. We beat Georgia Tech. Pitt was the game.
That was a crazy game.
Pitt was the game that it was like, wow, like we walked out of there and it was dead silent, like dead silent. Like you was able to hear every single word. We were yelling like into the fans and all that stuff. So those are definitely the best moments because like, obviously it's your 15 guys or really like 25 if you include the staff against like 9,000 of everybody else. And like obviously if you can win and walk out of there victorious, like you definitely got to rub it in their face a little bit.
Yeah, I picked Clemson game was way more hyped up than
that was for number one in the ACC at the time.
Yeah, I know.
So that was a big game, and it's funny just because like it was Clemson and Pitt, like you like especially years before, like you never would have heard like them fighting for number one in the ACC, especially the way those two programs were. But we both having great years this year, and it's beautiful to see just because like both coaching staffs are great, and I'm happy they're getting the success that they deserve.
Yeah. What is it like having a flip-flop ACC this year? Because obviously, Duke is playing really well. UNC has some dudes, but they're not at the top like they usually are. It's, Clemson, UVA is obviously always tough.
Elite, yeah. They're elite.
It is just a unique year. Like what?
It is. It's actually weird though because like I think that's why people disrespect the ACC now because Duke and North Carolina aren't the top tier, at least at the moment. Like they're not the number one guys in the ACC or not dominating like they used to. And I guess whenever you think like that, especially the way like just normal people that know basketball, they don't really understand that like, okay, Clemson is actually good this year. They just go by school names. Mm-hmm. So once you see that Clemson's doing good and Duke and North Carolina aren't doing good, you're probably thinking like, dang, the ACC is really weak this year. But it's really just because like other teams are stepping up. Like Clemson's good, Pitt's good, Virginia's good. Like Virginia's been solid for years now. But like, and even teams like Virginia Tech is probably the scariest team to me because how physical they are and what they bring like to the table is like insane. So I don't think the ACC is weak at all, but I think that's why people think that it is weak just because the top tier schools or like the Blue Bloods aren't running it like they used to.
So you mentioned Virginia Tech. They're a scary team, right? Because they're physical. Are there teams that you've played this year that were just different? Like they were better than you thought? Maybe to bring a different element than you were anticipating?
I think Virginia Tech is probably the only team that's been like eye-opening to me just because of the physicality and how hard they play and how well they scout. I think that was probably the biggest thing is like they knew all our tendencies, they knew our plays, and their staff did a great job running that team. And I feel like that's the only team that like physically that we had to like really, really, really make sure that we're like ready for because like we knew they were going to bring a physical fight from the jump. That's not even a basketball game. Like playing against Virginia Tech, playing against like Boston College, like it's not even a basketball game. It's just like who's going to fight and whoever's going to fight the hardest, that's who's going to win. That's who's going to win the game. So, because I mean, you look at those games, like like 50 points is all we're scoring. Like it's not even really like a basketball game. It's not like a high scoring game with a lot of offense. It's just like whoever can make the most clutch plays and whoever can get the most rebounds, whoever can make the most free throws, that's who's going to win the game.
Is basketball more physical than people think?
Bro, way more physical. And like me getting injured in the area that I got injured in made me realize that because I'm trying to be careful as possible out there now because like I didn't realize how physical it actually was until this year probably in terms of just like fighting over ball screens, boxing people out, like being physical on defense. Like if you're not physical, then you're just going to get punked. And that's really what it comes down to because guys are really coming at your head like every single possession in terms of just like the physical aspect of it.
Yeah, so bringing up physicality standpoint, you added a whole new element to your game this year that emphasizes physicality in terms of before, I mean, you weren't really, from what I saw, you weren't as aggressive attacking the rim, right? Try and draw layups. And obviously, you went through a transformation, you cut some weight. But, how is this year just different in terms of your offensive style and having to play a little bit more physical and be able to get more baskets and just be able to pull up a three?
I think the biggest thing was I'm healthy now. Last year and the year before that, obviously I tore my ACL and tore my meniscus twice. So I was never able to really get my legs underneath me. And so now, being able to practice every day, being able to lift and not have to worry about spending 2 extra hours in the rehab and in the training room every day, I'm able to actually work on my game and feel more confident out there. And so with that being said, I'm able to just go out there, be free and just be aggressive. And Coach Brownell lets me be myself on the court. So I'm able to just go out there, just take the shots that I want, get in the paint, make plays for others. And I feel like that's helped our team out a lot because we all do different things. Like Hunter Tyson shoots the hell out of the ball. Chase Hunter is great, athletic, one of the most athletic guards in the country. Alex Hemingway shoots the ball. PJ Hall does what he does. And then you throw me in there. It's just like, dang, like everybody can do a little something. So you got to make sure you're stopping all of us. So I feel like that's what makes us dangerous is that we all have little different things, but we're all great at them. And then we all know how to play off of each other really well.
Yeah, so you do have that comes with chemistry and having that growth together. And obviously they were all together last season. So how were you able to just fit right in? Obviously your play style helps out, but fit in, have that chemistry, know that, hey, we can trust this guy. He can knock down a shot.
Right. I think the biggest thing was just like the mutual respect we had for one another. Obviously, we competed against them twice last year. It was a very, very good game. They won one, we won one. So whenever I committed, I kind of knew what kind of group of guys they were. I knew they were going to be tough, hard-nosed guys that played hard just because of how we competed against them last year. But then it's also like my personality. Like I'm just really selfless. I really don't care about the attention in terms of like who scores, who does this and that. Like I just want to be able to win. And I knew me coming here and I knew I was going to be able to gel with those guys and just spread the ball on offense, like make the extra kick, make the extra pass. I feel like it's been easy. I feel like the transition here was easy. And I feel like my personality off the court helped a lot because I'm just a goofy, easygoing guy. I can talk to anybody and fit in with anybody in any room. So that definitely helped gel with the team easily going into it. So, yeah, it's been beautiful, though. From day one, obviously, we took the trip to France. That got us really close together because, obviously, we're there for 10 days. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like from day one, I've been able to connect with each and every guy in that locker room, and we have all had a great relationship.
So, having that chemistry off the court, is that just as important as having a chemistry on the court?
Definitely, because that's how you build a relationship on the court. Like, if you don't have a good relationship off the court, then if you're trying to talk to somebody in the heat of a moment and you say something that might be out of line, then you never know how they may can take it. But if you have that relationship off the court already, then it's kind of just like, I know this guy loves me. Like, I know he respects me, he trusts me, and he just wants the best for me, and he just wants to win. So when you put it like that, and if you have that relationship off the court, then on the court, like, the discussions and conversations are way easier.
So obviously you took a huge step this season in terms of playing well. Then you look over to, PJ Hall, Hunter Tyson. They're playing really well. I mean, everyone expected them to take a step, right? But
great.
This is crazy.
Yeah, they're playing like NBA level for real. Especially Hunter Tyson. I could talk about Hunter Tyson all day because when I came in this summer, I was really impressed with his work ethic and how hard he worked. And then not only that, but like how good of a leader he is, because I always joke around because like I'm 25, I think he's 23. But like whenever he talking, like I'm all ears. Like I trust him. Like I trust him with my life whenever it comes to this hoops and stuff this year, especially being on the team with Clemson basketball and the team that he runs. Like I have nothing but respect for him just because I've seen him work. He's been through injuries. He's been through adversity. Like he's overcome all that stuff. So it's nothing but respect. And I think he feels the same way about me, which is why we're able to click so well and get along. And same way with all the guys, with the whole starting five in general. That's why I was able to come in and just get along and gel, just because of how everybody works. Everybody knows each other, and then we all just got that same passion for winning.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, I mean, obviously, Hunter didn't say he wanted to transfer. He didn't want to transfer. But there was always a rumor mill of like, could he go somewhere else for his 5th season? So like being able to see, obviously you said you get along well with him, but like, has he ever just said to you like, man, it feels good to be being better here at Clemson and not leaving?
Definitely. I mean, whenever I talked to him, our first conversation when I talked to him was just like his vision for the team this year. He was like, March Madness is not just our goal. Like we want to make the Sweet 16 if we can. So with that being said, like I already knew what kind of mindset he had coming into the season. And with that being said, I was just like, I'm all for it, bro. Like I'm behind you. I'm 10 toes in. Like whatever I got to do to help y'all get to that goal, I'm gonna do it. Because I didn't come in with a selfish attitude. Like, yeah, I'm gonna take over. This is my time. Blah blah blah. This and that. Like I wanted to make sure that he knew that I was there to help him and the team win. And man, he's been a hell of a leader for us. And obviously, you can tell by our record and what he's done. And every speech, every time he's talking, like the whole team is locked in just because he's so well respected. And I feel like that's what makes him just a great leader. And then obviously his performances back up everything that he said because he's putting up double-doubles every night. And he's one of the best performers in the country whenever it comes down to it. I mean, I'm happy for him, and I hope he gets everything that he deserves.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. I mean, you mentioned it. He's averaging almost, nearly a double-double. And he's a dog right now. Like it's
crazy.
I don't know what happened, but
he got that mentality.
He locked in and started playing well.
Yeah, he did. I think the biggest thing was just him playing with confidence. I feel like, and just like he really just be out there and just be like, yeah, I'm him. Like he really thinks like that, and that's the kind of mentality you need, and I'm all for it because boy, whenever he get in that zone, it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, that's like a mentality that maybe you almost brought over because you've always had that.
Right. Yeah.
You've always had that.
I've always had that mentality, and that's I wanted to just come in and just speak life and just give guys confidence. Me being older, I knew that I was gonna have to have some kind of voice, but like my voice is different than Hunter's because obviously he's like the more like powerful speaker, and I'm more of the like laid back kind of like goofy dude. So I'm just kind of just making sure like everybody's positive, everybody's just keep your head up, bro. Like joking around with guys if things are going bad because like I feel like that's what I need to do because a lot of like people like obviously people in our locker room and the coaching staffs and everybody in college basketball in general, like a lot of people can tend to take it too serious. And at the end of the day, like people got to realize like we need to have fun and we need to make sure it's a game and we need to have fun with this game. Obviously, even though like serious stakes are on the line, but at the same time, you need to try to have fun with it while you can because like if it becomes too business oriented or it just becomes too stressful, then you're just going to lose. You're going to lose interest in it, and it's just not going to be the same, and you're not going to want to play the game. You're not going to have fun with it. So I think that's a bigger thing for us. No,
that's right. I mean, there's so many times they lost the love for that sport. You don't lose a love for a sport because you don't like playing it. It's because there's other elements around it. So it's good to have that.
No, it's definitely right there too. It's definitely because I mean I just want to just like whenever I walk in the locker room, joke around with the young guys because the biggest thing is like I know as a freshman I was mentally screwed up just because like obviously you question yourself daily if you're not playing, and obviously every mistake you made is just magnified. So like anytime the freshmen are going through a rough time, I love the fact that they can feel like they can come to me and talk to me about it just because like I know exactly what they went through, and I feel like I'm a good person to get advice from just because, I was the red shirt. I didn't play. I got hurt twice. Like I've literally been through everything that like throughout my college career that you can think of, so I'm able to relate to any kind of situation.
Yes. What is it like seeing? There's obviously 4 true freshmen. Obviously, one's Chauncey Gibson's redshirting, but I mean, what's the growth you've seen from these young guys? Because they're playing significant minutes and they're playing really well. And Gibson's, obviously he's not playing, but he's a heck of a player too. He's a shooter too. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Gibson's probably the most skilled out of all of them, just because of he's 6'6" and can play the 1 through 4 probably in terms of what he can do from a skill set standpoint. But yeah, I mean, the growth has been beautiful just because it's just wild to see them come in as like these kind of shy, sheltered freshmen, and then now halfway through the year, you fast forward and it's just like, wow, they coming out of their shell now, talking more in the locker room, like their personalities popping more. I think of them as like a little puppy because I got 2 new puppies.
Oh, Frenchie?
Yeah, so it's just like, it's funny at first, like they kind of just shy, nervous, they don't know what really to expect in the world, and then 2-3 weeks go by and it's like, dang, you a whole different dog now. So that's how I think about the guys, because like Chauncey Wiggins has been playing exceptionally well. He's finally out of his shell. He's playing confident, shooting the ball at a high clip. RJ Godfrey's been playing insane. He's our physical guy down there. He always brings energy, and Dylan Hunter just does a great job of running the team whenever he's in. So yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like they've made a lot of progress, and especially for the run that we want to make, we're going to need all 10 guys or all 11 guys to be ready and locked in, just because whenever their number is called, like, we're going to need them to make a positive impact.
Yeah, no, it is incredible seeing their growth. I mean, obviously they came in with good skill sets, but I never thought Chauncey Wiggins was going to hit it, make threes, shoot threes. Like, what's all of that? You know what I'm
Especially
saying?
like, I forgot what he had, 11 points on the road at Wake.
Yeah.
I think he had 11 points on the road at Wake, and then our last game, he knocked down some clutch shots at Boston College. I think I can't remember, but he definitely had his moments in games this year when it's just like, wow, bro, you got flashes of greatness in you. You got flashes of greatness in you. So I'm excited to see how they grow, especially after this year, because that's really what's just going to be special. Because obviously, once it's their team, it's going to be cool to see how they grow for real. Because it's going to be like you will go from averaging 3 points a game, 8 minutes, and then all of a sudden you averaging 15 and you playing 30 minutes a game. So it's 2 completely different things. But I feel like that's the best part about college basketball, is being able to watch the freshmen grow into these, like, they start off as role players and then they obviously just become the guy on their team. And I feel like that's just a cool thing to see.
That is cool seeing their growth, for sure. And you mentioned the goal is more than just making March Madness. It's making the Sweet 16, having a good season. Obviously, a few years ago, I think it was 2020, Clemson made March Madness, played Rutgers, ended up losing to them, and they started off hot and then they kind of went cold. So not trying to make comparisons or anything, but like, how can the team, like, you have 7 regular season games left. How can you make sure that you put the losses behind you and just move on and be able to reach that goal?
I think the biggest thing whenever it comes to like moving on from losses is just trying to find a way to be positive. Because obviously it's easy, especially with all the fans and everybody kind of like, you lose 2 in a row and everybody starts to kind of doubt you a little bit. And obviously that's rightfully so. Like, we lose 2 in a row, cool. But at the same time, like, we won, 9 or 10 in a row, I think, or something like that. Like, we had a crazy streak like that, but nobody wants to talk about that. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, it is what that, but you lose 2 is quick. So I feel like you just got to find a way to be positive in those moments and really just block out the media, because everybody in the locker room doesn't think like that. Like, we're not thinking like, okay, 2-game losing streak, like, oh, like it's gonna go downhill from here. No, we don't think like that. Like, we know that it's a bad little week that we had, 2-game stretch. Like, as long as they don't get to 4 or 3, then we're good. But like, at the same time, like, you just got to try to be positive in those moments, just because if you get negative, then the whole world is already negative. Then it's just like, and that's not really going to be, I don't know exactly what you expect from there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you look at this, you look at your record, it's like, come on, 2 losses. You don't want to have those 2 losses. You don't want to lose.
Right.
It's not
but at the same time, but like, and then we're like, people don't realize how hard it is in the ACC. Like, it's difficult. Like, it's a dogfight every night. Like, whether it be the worst team in the ACC or the best team, like, as you, like, it doesn't matter who it is, you can lose. Like, you see upsets all the time. Like, I remember whenever UMBC beat Virginia a couple years ago. Like, nobody ever expected that. But like, it's basketball. Like, you never know how it could go. So that's why it's a dogfight every night. Like, you never know which way it could go.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. That was insane.
That was like history. I'm like, bro, that was that. But that right there just lets you know, like, bro, the ball can bounce any kind of way for you. It just doesn't matter. It just got to be your night.
Well, you bring up a good point. You said when you said UMBC beat Virginia, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, when you look at football, right? You look at the college football. Everyone has to stay for 3 years. The rosters are super deep. The talent level, like, eventually it's like this team has, you look at, we'll say Clemson football, for example, compared to some smaller D1 team. It's like, yeah, Clemson is going to win.
Right.
But when you look at basketball,
yeah, it's
especially
different.
Power 5, it's like, no matter who you play, like, yeah, maybe Duke is getting 3 5-stars or whatever the case may be, and then we'll say like I don't even know some random team in the Big 12, right? We'll say Texas Tech because they're not top tier. They still have dudes like they're
right. Like they're still high level.
Anyone, right?
Yeah, they're still high level Division I athletes who can hoop, but it really just like. It all depends on whether they want to play that night. Like Duke can go in with a bad mindset thinking this Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is obviously going to think of it as their championship game. And then, boom, next thing you know, Texas Tech just gets the upset. And it's like, what happened? Because a lot of people think it's the basketball part. They think it's on the court, but like the upsets happen off the court before the game even start. Like it's all about the mental approach. Like if you ain't mentally locked in or like actually understand like what's at stake and what's going on, then you're probably going to end up getting upset.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't skip over a team.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why you got to take it day by day, and it's definitely hard to do that, especially March Madness. Like, obviously, you're in 1 seed playing the 16 seed. You think that's a cakewalk, and then you go into it with that mindset, and then all of a sudden they hit 4 threes in the first 5 minutes, and it's like, oh, they got confidence now. They think they can play with us, and then after that, it's just like, nah, this is just like North Carolina Duke game now.
I mean, look at that St. Peter's team last year. I mean, they were just moving. They went all. I don't even know. They went to what. Elite Eight or something like that.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. But like you get that confidence, and especially if your whole team is confident and you got guys that can score, oh my gosh, it can get ugly for a team. And if they defend and play together, because a lot of teams I feel like don't play together and defend together, and I feel like that's their weaknesses whenever it comes down, especially like when they lose games like that. Like especially like that Kentucky team, whenever they lost to them, it was just like, dang, like they just wasn't, like looking at them, they just didn't look together. And that's what you can tell. And St. Peter's is obviously guys that are older, guys that have been through stuff like that. So they just like, we know exactly what we need, what we're looking for. So we just got to stick together through that whole thing. And it's really wild because like that college basketball experience is night and day difference. Like if you got freshmen and you got a senior, like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you bring it up. I was thinking the same thing in terms of physicality. I mean, with basketball, it's like, yeah, you have some of the topper tier guys, but they're true freshmen, right? And they're playing against a junior or a senior who's they're getting built. They've been in the system for a few years. Like, I mean, they can be talented, but this guy's probably just as talented, you know? Just
as. I think the biggest thing that separates like the young guys from like a guy like me is just like the athleticism part. Like obviously you got guys that are freak athletes. Like I'm trying to think of somebody, but I really can't think of anybody that's young and like crazy athletic like that. But like the guys that are like young and nowadays that are able to have an impact in the game are just freak athletes, especially in college basketball, because obviously when you look at guys like after the season, everybody's in the portal now. All the coaches are trying to get the older guys in the portal, trying to get the grad guys. They're not really looking for like high school seniors no more. They're not really looking for the JUCO guys. So it's really wild to see how that college basketball experience is like that. It really holds weight. And I think that was the thing about my recruitment was so big in the summer, because like obviously I'm 24 going into the year. They know what kind of experiences I've had in school, and that's why my phone was blowing up, just because it was like, okay, cool, he's an older guy, he can shoot the ball, he can make plays, and he'll be healthy. So that's just like that experience definitely holds weight.
Yeah, you never thought about leaving or not going to Clemson when you found out?
Whenever I put my name in the portal, I got to get on the phone with Brownell ASAP. Like that was the first person I wanted to talk to and just see where his head was at about the whole situation. And then once he told me it was a possibility to come to Clemson, I was sold. Like I was entertaining other schools just because he didn't give me like 100% green light yet, because he was going through a coaching change because a lot of coaches left. But at the same time, I was just like, I want to be a Tiger, man. That's what my heart was telling me to do, and I'm here.
Yeah, you're here, and you're having a huge impact.
Right,
huge impact. I mean, everyone's probably thankful that you're here now.
Right, I'm happy as hell to be here.
So when you you guys say that you don't listen to the noise, right? You don't listen to the media. You hear it, but you don't really care for it. This offseason, before this year, everyone was calling for a coaching change, right? Everyone was calling for it, and obviously you weren't necessarily here last year, but you knew him, and now you know the guys now. But what is Coach Brownell like? I mean, what is he like as a coach, but also just as like a person?
I really appreciate Coach Brownell, because that's probably one of the few individuals in my life that's been real and 100% honest with me. In terms of like my growth as a player. Like obviously I'm 25 years old. I pretty much already have my habits as a player because I've been playing basketball for so long and I'm old. But like from day one, he's been on me just about what I need to fix, what I need to get better on. Like he never let me settle. Like he never let me just be content with who I was as an individual. Like he always tried to make sure that I was just aiming for my best. And after the NC State game we had at home, I didn't really play well. Me and him got into a little argument on the bench, and then after the game we had a conversation, and that was probably like one of the realest like conversations I've had with another grown man in my life, and we just put everything on the table, talked everything out, and then after then it's just been like we've connected on a different level in terms of just like from a mental standpoint and just understanding each other. But yeah, just in terms of how he just talks to guys, how he just treats everyone. He's real, he's genuine, he's authentic, he's always himself, and I'm the same way, and that's why I appreciate it so much, because I feel like there's few people that I've ran into that are similar to me, and I definitely get that vibe from him, and that's why I appreciate him so much. Yeah. And not only that, like he took me in. I came off probably my worst year playing college basketball. I was hurt, like really didn't do much last year, and then he really trusted me to come in and make an impact on the program. And that's what I'm appreciative for too, because he didn't have to take a chance on me. He could have got somebody who was averaging 15, 16 points a night in the SEC, wanted to come to Clemson, but he chose to pick me. And I was just like, boy, I'm so thankful for you, because you really didn't have to.
Yeah. That's awesome to hear. I mean, how important is it to have a coach that you can just talk to and you can just get along with? Obviously, you said you had disagreement, but you had one of the realest conversations you ever had in a little while.
No, definitely. I think that's, like I said, like that's rare in college athletics, and rare just, I feel like in life in general, just to have people that can just call you out, but do it in a way that's like constructive and not like blame, not like, what's the word, like coming attacking your character or something like that. And the way he does it is just like, obviously, like in the heat of the moment, it is what it is. Like obviously it's a basketball game, things can get heated, but at the end of the day, like I understand that he wants what's best for me and the team. And with that being said, like that's all I can ask for. It's just somebody that's 100% honest and genuine with me, because like I said, I feel like that's so rare nowadays.
Yeah. Did the team rally around him when there was that rumor of like, or not rumors, but when media was like, hey, you know, we want a new coach, right? We want to get rid of him. Like,
that's so funny,
because why is he here?
Because as a team, we never talked about it.
Yeah.
We never talked about it as a team. Obviously, whenever I was trying to come to Clemson, that was obviously something that me and him discussed. Just because obviously he wanted to let me know what situation it was in. He was like, we have to win this year, and I was like, all right, bet. Like I understand, so like I'm all for it. But in terms of that, like obviously I've known him since haven't really had a relationship with him, but I've known him because I went to the camps growing up since I was 11 or 12. And I refused to come here for 1 year and then him to get fired the next. Like I want to be able to come back to Clemson years after this and be like, yeah, man, but I don't want to have to come back and then be a new coach. So then like in my head, I'm like, nah, we got to make sure we win for this, man. Cause I want to be able to come back, see Brownell still in his office. And I want to be able to come back to the facility every summer, wherever I'm playing. And then just be able to come back and enjoy it. So I feel like that was one of my motivators going into the year. It's just like, obviously we want to win for us, but at the same time, like we need to make sure Brownell's straight too, because I mean, he's a great dude. He's one of the kind in the business, and I just appreciate him so much.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it's so far so good.
So far so good. Hopefully we can. That's what I'm saying. We did what we got to do so far. We just got to just finish this last stretch out and then take care of business in March.
Yeah. So there's a few games I want to talk about real quick that you've already played, or maybe not played in. One of them being the BC game. You went to BC. You obviously went with the team. Couldn't play because of the obvious.
Right.
What was it like seeing your old team, seeing Coach Grant again? I mean, were you in touch with them beforehand? You keep in touch with them?
Yeah, definitely. I'm in touch with Makai Langford. Makai Langford is actually going to be in my wedding. He's one of my groomsmen in my wedding. So I talk to him every week, just keeping up with him, keeping up with the games and stuff like that. And we always in contact with each other. But yeah, once I got up there, I was able to obviously link up with everybody again, see everybody. And it was beautiful just because like the energy hasn't changed. Like they still love me. And I still love them with all my heart just because they were there for me at my lowest point whenever I was fighting all those depression, anxiety, all the suicidal thoughts that I had. Like that team was there for me. They took me in. They loved me like a brother and never really flinched whenever I was going through my injuries and stuff like that. And then Coach Grant, obviously, you know, we go way, way back. So to see him before the game and to dap him up and hug him was obviously crazy. I hate I couldn't play. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely a fun game just to be able to go up there and see everybody again. But it was an intense game, emotional game. And I feel like that's part of the reason we lost is just because, like, I don't think our team knew how emotional it was. And they did, because obviously that was Boston College's championship pretty much, like in terms of like, okay, cool, like Clemson coming to town. Like obviously there's like not beef, but like
you guys
tension.
Yeah, but
like
you're also top of the ACC.
Top of the ACC. We're ranked coming into the building, but obviously Coach Grant was underneath Coach Brownell. I play for Coach Grant, so obviously there's a little bit of a war going on there, like for bragging rights, that a lot of people didn't know about, and that's why I hate I couldn't play, because like I'm looking at Boston College's team and their faces, and they're like playing hard, like going for everything, and then our team, we just kind of like we just didn't really have that like emotional tie into that game the way they did. And I hate I wasn't able to be out there and be like, yo, this is we fighting for life or death right now for real. Like this is, especially for me, because that was the game I didn't want to lose, but I was on the sideline trying to yell and scream, but I couldn't do much.
Did you like try and talk to the players when they were coming in and out? Like, hey, yo, Hunter, like, come on, like, focus up. Like, you got to do this.
Yeah, I will. I do sometimes, but at the same time, I try not to get like too involved because like obviously like they hear so much stuff throughout the game. I try to just be like a positive little small talk voice if they need it, like on the side. Like if I see something small, I'll point it out, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not the type of rah-rah guy just to be like, we got to lock in, like make sure we do this and that. Like that's not me. I'm just going to be like on the side. Like if I see something, I'll call it out. Like if Dylan's in the game and he sees or he messed up a play, I just be like, yo, try to like be more aggressive or do something like that, just to kind of give him some advice.
Yeah. Do you find it easier to talk to give advice to like a freshman than like a fifth year, or is it just all the same because they're all?
It's honestly easier to give advice to older guys, just because typically older guys are more understanding. Because a lot of the freshmen come in, not freshmen on this team, but freshmen that I've dealt with before, they kind of just have that ego problem and they just feel like they know everything. And older guys typically are like more self-aware and they're more conscious of like, oh, nah, like he probably know what he's talking about, or I messed up and I can admit it. So I think older guys is easy, but then once the younger guys, that is one thing I will give credit for the younger guys on this team, like all the freshmen, sophomores, they bought in completely to the team. They want to win and they'll do whatever it takes to win. But yeah, their attitudes and everything has been nothing but positive. Like the games they don't play, they not moping around miserable. Like they always happy cheering for us. And I feel like that's the reason why we've been successful.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is important. Be bought in with the team. If you're bought in, then it's a lot easier to win that way.
Definitely.
So another game, the Louisville game, right? Huge game for one reason, being you had a dunk. First dunk in what?
I tried to dunk. Yeah. I got the rim a little bit, but that was my first dunk.
It was a dunk, right?
It was a dunk. I'm gonna count it as a dunk.
I saw it. I was there. I saw it. I think it was a dunk.
We good then, yeah. So yeah, that was my first dunk in like
3 years, right?
Since 2020, yeah. That was my first dunk, and that was me jumping off my left leg. That's when I injured twice or 3 times. So yeah, to be able to do that, just be able to have that confidence to even try that again was crazy because mentally I've been battling with that for so long. So yeah, that was special for sure. So hopefully I'll be able to get another one sometime soon.
When you were going up for it, were you thinking like, this is my leg, like am I supposed to be doing this right now, or were you just in the moment? Like,
no, well the thing is I had been telling myself since probably like the Virginia Tech game on the road, I was just like, I got to get me a dunk in the game sometime soon. Like I need one. I need to try it at least. So once I got the steal on that break, and then warm-ups, like recently in the past couple of games, I've been trying to dunk, trying to just get more confidence to do it again. And then that one game against Louisville, I just had to break, and I was like, dang, this feels good, so I'm gonna go ahead and try it. And then I just try to put it in there.
Yeah, as soon as I saw you go for it, I was like, nah, like no way. This is like, I was like, there's 10,000 people here, maybe like 10 people.
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, like, is he doing this? And then you went off, and I was like, oh, you did it. Like,
I tried.
It was good. It was
good.
man.
That took a lot out of me. After that, I was tired. Yeah. I was like, all right, I don't know if I can do that again.
Yeah. Hey, one and done. It's all good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I did it, man. I tried.
Yeah. So, one last final game. I want to talk about the Richmond game, just because 1,000 points. You know, for most people, that's a pretty big achievement. What did it mean to you to have 1,000 points, just knowing, like, everything that happened before?
You know, I think that was special. I mean, just sitting back and able to reflect after the game, like what I went through and like the teams that I've played on, because I've never really been the first option like ever in my career. I never was that guy. The one year I was my year in Charleston, but I only played 3 games before I got hurt. So whenever I went through all that stuff, just to be able to get 1,000 points and the way I did it, I was just like, I'm really him for that.
Empathy, yeah, come on.
Just because like fighting everything that I've been through, man, to still get 1,000 is crazy. Because like I don't even know if I got 1,000 in high school. Because I didn't shoot the ball like that a lot in high school. But like, just to be able to have that, just to be able to accomplish that is a blessing within itself for sure. So I was happy with it. But I'm not really big on awards though. Like they don't really, like obviously I got the ball afterwards and like I got announced and all that stuff. But it wasn't like yeah, man, like I'm really proud of myself for that. Like, it was just one of those things. I was like, it's cool to accomplish that thing, but it wasn't like something I'm like that's gonna stick with me forever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does make sense. And you know, the award you want is the team award.
Exactly.
That trophy up, right?
ACC championship, March Madness, get to the Sweet 16, and then once we get to the Sweet 16, we'll make a run again.
And then win it all, right?
Exactly.
Win it all. That'd be crazy. That'd be dope. But yeah, Brevin, wish you the best of luck the rest of the season. I mean, you have any last thoughts you want to give? Any last final thoughts about the games you have coming up and just tourney and all that.
It's going to be an exciting last month. I will say that I think we're about to get hot. Everybody's healthy now finally, so we're going to have a good week off, go to Chapel Hill. Hopefully we can perform well there, and then we'll get hot before March.
Yeah, you got to savor every moment too. I mean,
definitely got to savor.
Right?
Definitely got to savor every moment, man. That's the biggest thing, especially going to Chapel Hill, playing in that packed out environment. Saturday night, that's going to be beautiful. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I think these next 7 to 8 weeks should be very, very exciting as a Clemson fan for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you again, Brevin. Thank you for coming on.
Oh yeah, appreciate you, my guy.
And that's another episode of Gameball.